Hey there, We Can't Wrestle podcast listeners. If you haven't noticed, we have switched our server to Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Highly recommended by me and everybody else here at the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
You're listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Now it's time for our host, Nate Matson.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 101 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxon here, along with a motley crew of characters. My brother Aaron, my brother Kyle, my brother Archie, and our new co-host to the show, Mr. David Gold. Welcome to the We Can't Wrestle family, David.
What up?
Our step
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Archie says it's stepbrother. This is episode 101. All of these guys were on episode 100, and thank you guys for making that a great episode with lots and lots of downloads. It's doing really good.
19 hours long, right?
Actually, it was 5 hours, 47 minutes.
Oh, David and I topped that on our first podcast we did with you.
Yeah, it was
11 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah. That one was just over 6. Yeah.
We all went to the bathroom together on that one. Like, hold on, let's
time.
record.
We're going to Nate's bathroom so he can take a leak. But episode 101 is here, and it is very special. One of my favorite things we do every year. It is the We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame. Well, not every year. This is the second annual, so we started it last year, and we're going to do it again this year. Each host has 4 inductees to the Hall of Shame this year, and I am very much looking forward to it. The worst of professional wrestling. Yes. But before we started recording, Kyle had a topic he wanted to bring up, so we're going to talk about that first, and then we'll get into the Hall of Shame.
So I'm sure you guys have all seen it. The whole Adam Cole. I don't even know the other guy's name. What is his name?
Pat McAfee.
Thank
He
you.
used to be a punter for the Denver Broncos, I believe, right?
Yes.
I think so.
I have
No
Well,
idea what
he was-
you guys are even talking about.
He was actually really good, too. But
Yeah,
So
you are.
basically, it's a giant work where Adam Cole went on the show and, like, throughout the interview, this dude was taking jabs at Adam
McAfee
Cole,
shit on him. McAfee shit on him.
and
the whole
finally, fucking Adam Cole stood up, knocked the mic over, and told him to go fuck himself. And
show. Literally.
people are wondering, like, there's a lot of people like, oh, is it real? Is it real? It's a fucking work, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Vader in Kuwait. Was it a work or was it a shoot?
now, think about this for a minute, though. Yes, it could have been a work, but do you think maybe that work turned into a shoot and he went too far?
Well,
It may have.
McAfee was shitting on him about his size. And
No, I
every-
mean, did
every-
McAfee
you know,
go too far? Like,
I
he was
think
supposed
so.
to work him, piss him off a little bit, and that was it? Maybe he went a little too far.
you
And he
wanna know-
might have. The whole tone of the interview, it was like, because up until that point, it was him putting him over and talking about, like everything in a fun way where, Adam Cole can still be kind of a heel. I don't know, to me, like I said, I got a feeling that it's a giant work and it's leading up to something.
Yeah, they're
Because
saying it might lead to McAfee's actual debut into wrestling. That's how they're going to put Adam Cole on the main roster and then have McAfee debut as a wrestler against him. But the thing
Can
that
I
it
just-
is go ahead.
So Adam Cole got into it with some guy that created internet software. You know what I'm getting?
So
Yes.
my problem with that is,
Norton
are we going to have
Security.
another Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow match again?
My problem with that is anytime anybody ever brings up Adam Cole going to the main roster, because Adam Cole going to the main roster to me is a terrible idea.
They're going to waste him.
He's going to get Nakamura. That's exactly what's going to happen to him if he goes to the main roster. He's going to get treated like Shinsuke.
Everybody from NXT.
What?
He's going to,
And David, to your point earlier, or just a second ago, is it going to be another Lawrence Taylor Bam Bam Bigelow thing? No, because they'll just edit it.
Right. It'll be a cinematic match.
I mean,
yeah, God. Right. They'll be in his studio or something. Where they're like fighting on the radio and stuff. Let's have a commentator match.
It's the TMZ battle.
It's the
We
Adam
can install
Cole
each other the
Bebe
words.
match. We're going to have the first ever Adam Cole Bebe match.
Adam Cole Bebe.
But what I don't understand is, though, every journalist who does talk about Adam Cole will put him over. Like every Meltzer, that Ryan Satin that's on the backstage now, they'll go, "Oh, he's a great talent. He's a great technical wrestler. He's a high flyer. He's this." He's small. Well, what the hell does it matter if he's small?
He ain't any
5'8". You know,
he ain't any smaller than Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels was just furrier with more of a gut, really.
Or a Sean Waltman. Yeah.
But I mean, Adam, I know you guys might disagree with me a little bit and think it's a bold statement, but I think Adam Cole's the best wrestler in the world right now, and I just think going to the main roster for him is a bad idea. He needs to stay where Triple H will treat him properly and wait till Vince either gets institutionalized or croaks, and then go to the main roster.
According to what I've read, is that USA and Fox are not happy with Vince McMahon in the ratings, so there might be a huge
we
shakeup.
don't know how that's going to go, Kyle.
I know.
Back up a little bit and say Triple H is the one in the forefront, but then every time they hand him a script, Vince will be there to go, "This is shit," and rip it up. He ripped up the script, not this Monday, but last Monday, and they went. You even mentioned it, Nate. They went on the fly. I mean, why? Why would you do that?
When they go to put Vince in the loony bin, is he going to be like, "Not the loony bin, it's a mental facility."
It's a mental facility. The position the WWE put themselves in this time around is actually really bad too with these TV deals, because they've gone from being a company that uses live audiences and such as a stream, and they've become a television production company. And these new contracts they signed, they were worth a lot of money, but essentially it was for television rights, and they can be treated like any other TV show. It can be, we have you on a 5-year deal, but we're canceling your show. And then they're up shit creek.
Right.
And shareholders aren't happy, and shit's kind of caving in on them right now. It's like worse. They're actually making more money, but in worse shape future-wise than they were in '95.
Would you be happy if you paid $1 billion for a company that's pulling a 1.8 rating for 3 hours worth of television?
Well, and here's the problem.
That's your first thing you need to do.
Yeah.
When I was working for other companies and stuff, and I was a manager, I used to have conversations with like my higher ups, because they're like, we want to cut these hours. Like let's say you had 600 hours, like we want 580 this year, and then next year they want 550, and then the year it's like eventually we're going to run out of hours, guys. Like something has to give here, and I think that's the problem here with WWE. Yeah, they might be making money hand over fist, but
wrestling in general now, not just WWE, because if you think about it, the combined audience of in a week, the combined audience of every WWE, AEW show that's on network television or on cable television is not even as many viewers as Raw had in 1997.
Right.
And that's kind of a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, but
I know
comparing apples to oranges a little
I know we're going to bring up the internet viewers and stuff, but what I'm talking about.
Bad DVRs too.
Yeah, the television bit. Well, I think actually I read that if you DVR it, if you DVR it, they add
that in later on. Like the original rating is a 1.4, and then they add the rest in, and it goes up quite a bit.
That I'm not exactly sure of, to be honest. But
I think the biggest problem.
But you're still right.
I think the biggest problem too we don't have that mainstream attraction right now.
No.
And
you don't have Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you don't have but also think about it, like it's not what it used to be, right? In '97, Nate, you had, I mean, people are so sensitive in 2020 now. You can't even fart without people looking at you wrong. And in 1997, it feels like we've regressed and went back to like when it was G, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
And it's not even that, because like in the 80s, it was technically G, you know, but it was still good. Like it was still, what you were watching was, the angles were good. The wrestlers looked like wrestlers, and they were interesting. Now it's like ping pong balls and swamp people. Nobody wants to watch that.
Well, here's the other thing, and I don't know if this is the case, but is it the fact that we've seen it all?
No, and that's not even the case. It's not even that you've seen it all. There's like 10 wrestling angles.
Yeah.
Always have been.
I want your belt. I want your girl. You broke my neck.
Yeah, there's like 10 wrestling angles, and it's just
the problem.
how you present them.
Here's
and
the
they're presenting
problem
them like
product.
shit.
In the 80s, to your point, here's what made it better. In the 80s, G was really PG or PG-13 because the ratings were completely different. They were based differently. And number two, you had 6 pay-per-views a year, 6 major ones, right, that were spread out. And even then, it was at a certain point, it was only 4, right? You only had 4, and then it went to 6.
Right.
And you had 1 hour to 2 hours of TV time a week spread out between 5 days. And you didn't see Hogan, and let's say Hogan and Macho Man, for example, were going to have a match. You didn't see him in a tag match, and then another and then a 3-way match, and then another match.
They were on pre-recorded conversation.
We're seeing the same matches. Like, let's say it's Aaron and Archie versus me and Nate, right? At a pay-per-view. On Raw, you're going to see Archie versus Nate and David versus Aaron. Like, why are you doing that? You're not. You need to save that for the big show and build a storyline. The thing is we should be attacking each other, cutting promos. 1 week the heels get over, the next week the faces get over. That's how it built an audience.
And you're absolutely right. It's oversaturation. It's 50-50 booking. 50-50 booking kills characters, kills main eventers. That's how you don't make a star. And also, and I've said this on the show before, as much as we all in the moment loved the Attitude Era, the Attitude Era started the death of wrestling. Because, to your point, David, it started where you see your main eventers in main event matches every week. The Monday Night Wars started us down the road where we've come. They started us down the road to where we're at now, because it changed the business, and I think for the worst. It was fun at the time. We had a great time watching it then, but it started this.
Here's another point I want to bring up. Could it be also a fact that, like with the internet wrestling community, okay? Like, you had John Cena, who was decisive, and everyone's like, he's burying all the young guys. Could that force the hand of Vince and everybody else now, where it's like, well, we can't push this guy, because if we do, they're going to think that we're burying everybody else?
No, because if that would have been the case, Roman Reigns would be on TV right now. And they're allowing Roman Reigns to stay home because he's afraid of COVID and he doesn't want to infect his family. I think Vince would have offered him a crazy amount of money to be on television right now. It's not about pushing. David mentioned something about the ratings being different in the 80s. The ratings were also different in the 90s. The only thing that the ratings used to do in the 90s was tell you how many people were watching. You know what I mean? If you turned on Monday Night Raw or Nitro and walked out of the room and never looked at the TV again for that 2 hours, you were considered one of their viewers. Nowadays, it's every demographic. Who's watching this? How old are they? Is it a male? Is it a woman? Is it a child? Is it a this? Chris Jericho just said it on an AEW. I'm the demo god because I'm 18 to 45. And
I hate that, by the way. I hate that. Like, really, we've come to the point where we're wrestling is so unpopular that we have to break it down to whether we're popular with the 54 to 65 age range.
I'm popular. Christ. Nate, look at how I'm popular between 9:15 and 9:45. Who gives a fuck? What about the rest of the show? I mean, that's ridiculous.
So now that
I would disagree with the 90s killing. I mean, I get what you're saying, Nate, that some of the matches were kind of main evented, like the big Goldberg-Hogan match on Nitro. That was a big mistake. I think what killed wrestling in general was 2001, when WCW went under. And Vince bought everyone, including ECW, in their library. And then from there, it was still pretty good until we got to 2007. Once the Ruthless Aggression era ended, some of the names got older. Everyone was retiring that everyone knew. The interest faded, and then WWE was against it and went, because they were scared of losing all their sponsors, went to PG.
And in that situation, the Benoit shit didn't help either.
No, it didn't.
But I don't want to get into that whole why they went to PG. Let's be honest; it had nothing to do with their sponsors. They could have found other sponsors. It had to do with Linda McMahon running for Congress.
That was part of it, but think of their sponsors in 2007, though, too.
And I understand that, but
that's a lot of money.
Something. I don't know if anybody ever watched the movie Private Parts with Howard Stern.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie.
Come to him and they
Take
say,
vomit.
They come to
especially the speaker scene.
You just lost us Tire World. And he looks at him and he goes, the Tire World sucks. Who gives a shit? Guy walks in 5 minutes later and says, we just got Tucky's Pizza. And he goes, I love Tucky's Pizza. I eat there every day. If you lose one sponsor, oh shit, we lost Snickers on Monday. You're going to get 5 others that are willing to buy that ad space and become a sponsor.
If you're doing a good product.
You have the shit now anyways that you did in the Attitude Era. Come on. You know what I mean? I get
I agree.
People are too sensitive.
They're publicly traded, so they can't take risks. I think is the problem, or they feel like they can't take risks.
Can you imagine if there was a Nation of Domination?
It'd be like
that would fail miserably.
And that's
David.
And Stone Cold, and that's the bottom line. As long as you accept what Stone Cold is willing to tell you, and if you will please accept my permission.
And Nate, instead of a middle finger, it would have been an OK symbol.
Yeah,
That's the Cena symbol, though. We already had that. Let's not rehash storylines, Archie.
But I mean, it's
only got 10 of them. No way.
And you can't see them. So.
What's interesting is that if you look at 2001 or 2001 in WCW, and now WWE is going down the same path because they don't have any people that are breakout stars. Because for the last how many WrestleManias have we had? Here comes The Rock. Here comes Undertaker. Here comes John Cena. Here comes Shawn Michaels. Here's Stone Cold. Here's
and nobody gets over because they only book 2 people at a time to get over. Everybody else is booked in 50-50 boring storylines.
Right.
And nobody gets over because, again, 50-50. Nobody gets over because, high spots are only high spots when you do them in appropriate times. When your entire match is a fucking high spot, Kenny Omega, it's not a wrestling match. It's a goddamn trampoline act. Well, that's why nobody's over.
We got 2 words for you. Suck it. As long as you give me your consent, please fill out this form. I want you to know that I'm not telling you or forcing you.
And I hope
I'm asking your permission.
I hope you and I agree on that one person, David. You say who it is, and I'll tell you if I agree.
To me, they're booking one person correctly, and that's Bayley, because I hate her, and I want her to lose her belt so bad, and that means she's doing a damn good job at it.
And I agree that I like her and Sasha. They're a great heel act, but I thought, to me, the person they're booking properly right now, like a real wrestling champion, is Drew McIntyre.
McIntyre's great,
but
I would like to see Walter come up.
You can't mess up McIntyre, though. It's McIntyre.
You can't mess up Walter either.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
If they brought Walter up to the, let's say, what is it, SmackDown brand, right? Raw, right? Braun has I don't even remember the damn belts anymore. That's how bad the product is.
They got too many. There's too many
right now. We don't know where Braun is. He's in a spot.
Oh yeah, what a joke. Anyways,
I think the problem is too that we can tell that WWE doesn't give a shit about their storylines. Look at the whole Bobby Lashley and and Rusev and Lana thing.
Well, I like what they're doing with MVP though. He's a great manager. I like
No,
that.
he is.
But he's in the front of the storyline right now with the U.S. title around his waist.
I like that though because it makes me hate him. So he's doing a good job.
Yeah, but he didn't. He
like
wasn't
it.
that over 10 years ago. He's not that over.
Yes, he was.
I
don't
will
know what
say
product you were watching.
I will say this. I do enjoy MVP now a lot more than I did 10 years ago because I did not like him. I found him very boring back then. For some reason, his character.
Did you watch his stuff with Flair and all his other stuff 10 years ago, though?
Well, that was with Flair. Anybody was gold with Flair.
Well, Flair was going out though. MVP looked golden.
And I'm by no means saying the guy sucked at all. He just was not. He's more over with me now than he was then, I guess is my.
Let me ask you this, Archie. Did you like JBL's title run?
I don't like JBL to begin at all.
But did you think he was a great heel who held the title and did a good job?
He was a believable heel, and he worked great as champion. I had no problem with his title run. I thought he was great as champion.
JBL was awesome.
He had one of the great heel title runs of probably at least the past 20 years because you watch his matches and every time he walks out champion, but he left a loser. Like he's covered in his own blood. He has no idea. Right. He just won the match. He did a great job.
Choke slammed him through the ring and he crawled out under the
Right.
And you're like, oh, and he's like, and Big Show's like, son of a bitch.
See, Nate has mentioned the last couple of shows 50-50 booking, and I agree with you, Nate. That was the great thing about the NWA in the 80s and the WWF in the 80s. There was no 50-50 booking. Flair lost every night of the week. For 7 days in a row, Flair lost up until they got to the pay-per-view. And then he would pull a chicken shit heel move and get the win so that he could still be champion. So Ric Flair was never booked to win unless he was in an 8-man tag with the rest of the Horsemen.
Right.
On the WWF side, Hulk Hogan was booked strong. Hulk Hogan never lost. You either give me a champion that never loses or you give me a champion. I mean, on Raw a couple weeks ago, Bayley and Sasha Banks beat Asuka and Nikki Cross. I said, okay, that means Sasha's going to beat Asuka, and Bayley will lose to Nikki Cross at the pay-per-view. At the pay-per-view, it was the exact opposite. That's not proper booking.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
But does anybody remember the promo when Vince introduced the NWO?
He's going to inject poison.
Well, guess what? It's 2020, and Vince is injecting poison only without the NWO.
The poison finally took hold. Now, speaking of shitty things in wrestling, let's talk about this Hall of Shame and get this thing going. That. David, what is your first inductee into the 2020 We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame?
All right, so we're going to do, 4-1, right? Just to verify. So we're going to do, like, the 4-1, right? Until our worst one, which is 1.
Yeah, you can do it that way.
All right, so my fourth one was, what I feel is a Hall of Shame moment, is any of the Brutus the Barber Beefcake characters.
Yes. You're inducting the 8 faces of Beefcake?
Oh, there's more than 8.
I know.
This is where the crowd would be like, you never had it.
Yeah.
There is 18 Brutus the Barber Beefcake gimmicks. All of them are terrible. And I'm not going to hold you guys up for 20 minutes going through all 18 of them.
Oh, please, let's. Dizzy Hogan.
You have the Zodiac, the Man with No Name, the Man with No Face, the Mariner, Eddie Hogan, Eddie Golden, Ed Boulder, Dizzy Hogan, Dizzy Golden, the Disciple, the Clipmaster, the Butcher, Brute Force, Brother Brute Eye, the Booty Man, Big Brother Booty, Baron Beefcake, and Brutus Beefcake.
If he would have just went with Baron Booty, he might have hit one, maybe.
The Beef Booty would have been good too, or Beefy Booty.
The funny thing is, the one that I liked the most is Brutus Beefcake when he was the barber in WWF. After that, it went downhill.
I feel like I have a brother in arms right now. I don't know if David, you go back and listen to our archives, man. I fucking skewer that motherfucker at least every other episode.
Well, and the sad part about it was, like, as a joke, I was like, "Oh, let's get Brutus Beefcake in the Hall of Fame," because I didn't think it ever happened, and it did.
Like, when you're a kid, and like there's a wrestler that you like, and then you get older and you look back and you're like, I don't know why I even ever liked that guy. Because you're little and dumb. Even when I was a kid, I was like, Brutus Beefcake's fucking trash. I didn't even like him when I was 5. I was like, this guy fucking sucks.
His figures are even bad. They couldn't make a good Brutus Beefcake figure.
And when Jake the Snake was on the barber shop, and Jake has that snake, and Brutus Beefcake goes, "What do that could?
What do that good to a normal
What
man?
could that do to a normal man?" Like, he's such a fucking idiot.
He was probably
and look, and I'll probably, if he ever comes on a meet and greet, fine, whatever. We'll applaud him or whatever. But either way, he was given 18 terrible gimmicks. Poor guy.
The man with no name. You know what? My biggest contention. I'm sorry, Aaron, but my biggest problem with anything, and it was the same thing with Chris Candido. Although Chris Candido was very talented, but the man with no name is a fucking name.
Yeah.
The only way that works.
The only thing that Brutus Beefcake is ever going to be remembered for is the breakup of the Rockers. That's it.
That's true.
And
stealing
David,
Kimberly from Diamond Dallas Page and Johnny B. Bad.
if you ever had him on a
Everybody
meet,
had Kimberly. So.
David, if you ever had him on a meet and greet, I would actually probably buy a ticket, and then you were like, Aaron, it's your turn. I would be like, you're a fucking piece of shit. I hate you.
I would
Wow.
you know what? I will tell you what. I am going to tell
If
you
you
what.
get the boot, all right, mid-sentence, you'd be like, you're a piece of...
I will make you a promise right now. If we ever have Brutus Beefcake on a meet and greet, I will pay for half of Aaron's ticket just to see that happen.
Aaron's going to cut a Jim Cornette
You're a piece of
promo
shit.
on him.
Rocky will boot him quicker than they booted Vic Grimes out of the WWF.
This is me. Nate.
Yeah. He'll be
Nate,
booted like
please.
Bobby Heenan on his last Raw.
I'd be like, Beefcake, you're a thief. You've been stealing money since 1977.
Nate,
Fucking
this
piece
would be
of
me.
shit.
This would be me on the meet and greet. Hey, Aaron, what's up? Aaron goes into his field. Brutus, you're a piece of shit.
No, what happened?
Yeah. And then he'll like be PMing like, what happened? I didn't get my meet and greet experience. Well, the man with no name kicked you out.
All right, Archie, we're going to let you go next. You're the next inductee into the Hall of Shame.
Mine actually has to do with toys.
Okay.
In regards to the Sting, the wrestler, was supposed to have a Legends figure released about 2 months ago. And because his contract lapsed, they decided they didn't want to do it anymore. So I am inducting Mattel for not releasing the Sting Legends figure when they should have.
Archie just put it in Mattel's butt on the Hall of Shame.
And they did. And they didn't. Who they just say that they're going to make an action figure of?
Jake
Jake
the Snake
Jake.
and Diamond
Two
Dallas
Jakes.
Page.
They're
Two
making
Jakes and a
two
Diamond
Jakes.
Dallas Page.
Yeah, they're doing a
Low two
Jake.
and Legend.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me you can't do. Okay.
They couldn't have
Well-
offered Sting like a couple $100,000 just to go do a face scan.
You know what
Right.
I'm almost wondering happened is I'm almost wondering because they're going to go with the Crow gimmick paint that maybe whoever owns the Crow and stuff like that was like, hey, yeah, so
They've released dozens of Crow Stings though.
I'm saying now.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Oh, maybe.
No,
you
they
might
have
be
the
right.
rights to that. They can release the Crow Stings. That's been released. Yeah.
But it was just annoying. It's like you
I
really-
think it's just because Sting went to them and didn't want to renegotiate his contract. I think it's on Sting's side more than WWE side,
well.
which
It's
is
shitty.
fine. Because, I mean,
It's
having
shitty.
him lose to Triple H at WrestleMania, I'd stick it to him, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
My favorites. That's my favorite. It's my new favorite thing. I obviously didn't hear the guy say it, but it's my new favorite thing that somebody said Scott Hall ever said. My first, like before, it was the shit with. If you guys want to look something up, just hear Scott Hall talk about Roddy Piper. It's fantastic. But Kevin Nash said that they were practicing that match at WrestleMania. They were practicing, and Scott and Nash were standing on the ring, and Triple H was like, "Yeah, and then the DX will come in, the NWO will come in, and this will happen, and this will happen. Then I'll hit you with the sledgehammer, and then I'll pin you 1, 2, 3." And Kevin Nash looked at Scott Hall looked at Kevin Nash and said, "Man, Sting needs to get a better lawyer." Ever you gonna fucking leave? What the fuck? Sting needs to get a better lawyer. Great fucking line.
Did the fucking guy ever win a match in the WWE?
I don't believe so.
He had two, and he lost both of them. Way to treat him.
Beefcake has a better record.
All right, Kyle.
All right, so my first inductee into the Hall of Shame is WWF Niagara Falls.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
What in the actual fuck were they thinking with this thing?
Wow.
Like, not only, okay, so it's Niagara Falls. It's a destination for people to go, like, on their honeymoons and stuff. Why in the fuck did they ever think that, like, putting a WWF Niagara Falls would be a great fucking idea?
It's good shit, pal.
No, it ain't. No, it fucking ain't. Like, that is the problem with Vince and shit. Like, he thinks that, like, for some reason, it's like WWF New York. Like, what? Really?
Can I tell you something really funny? Actually,
Yeah.
What's funny to me. So, as we're doing these, obviously I'm writing down inductions so I know who we inducted. And because we were having that conversation and I said, "That's good shit, pal," while I was writing that down, I wrote, "Kyle inducts WWF Niagara Pals." So I'm going to
Sounds good to me.
Well, think about it. It's
Niagara Pal.
It's one of the many fucking bankrupt company things that they tried to do. I mean, it's
like when they bought the Debbie Reynolds Hotel and then just destroyed it.
Yeah. Like, okay, so you have this destination. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Niagara Falls, but there's a lot to do all up through there.
Right.
Both on Canada and on the American side of it. So why in the hell do they think that anybody's going to travel to Niagara Falls just to go see the WWF?
I honestly feel Vince does these things just to declare bankruptcy to have a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Like with the XFL and like you mentioned the Debbie Reynolds Hotel, WWE New York. It's like, look, if it fails, we'll just write it off. It's okay.
We'll just write it off.
We're okay. Don't worry about it.
We're out of failed businesses, Vince. Fuck it. I'll bring back the XFL.
Right.
And then blame
COVID. Failed businesses. We got one going on right now.
That kind of makes
You didn't want to see The Rock throw Stone Cold's belt into Niagara Falls? Come on, man.
All right, Aaron, what's your first inductee this year?
We're going to go with coming to the stage to induct this person.
Oh, yeah, Aaron has inductors, by the way. I forgot about that.
Coming to the stage to induct this person, and I'm sorry, and I know he was on y'all's thing, but that's over now. You got your money, so you're good. It's Marcus Bagwell is coming up to the stage. Let's bring Marcus up, and he's going to induct Judy Bagwell.
Is she on a poll?
The Asylum does not endorse this, and does. What it said is Aaron's sole opinion.
Right.
No, it's not.
I want to correct you on that. Buff got his money, not the Asylum.
Okay, either way, whatever. Transactions were made. So anyway, some notes on this person. This fat sack joined WCW in 1998 and held the WCW tag team titles with Rick Steiner. Judy Bagwell was put onto a forklift during a match between Chris Kanyon and Marcus Bagwell. This stemmed from Chris Kanyon stalking this fat bag for a few weeks on Nitro. Probably saw her naked, and that's why he got into dudes.
Oh my God!
Who bound a canyon?
And everything involving Judy Bagwell was fucking
Rest in
stupid and
peace,
should not be
Canyon.
viewed ever again. And that forklift had to be discontinued.
They found out there was a faulty bolt.
Okay, I would just
Okay.
like to say something. Before we came on the air, I said that I wanted to beat Aaron in my inductees.
You're not
I
going to
officially resigned that statement. Aaron, you win on your first inductor.
This show is made for me, buddy. I've been looking forward to this all year.
But once again,
this is
the
like
asylum
Christmas for
doesn't-
him.
The asylum does not endorse anything that Aaron says.
Aaron does.
So my first inductee.
Oh, nobody else. I summed Judy Bagwell up enough.
Yeah, you hit it on the head.
You're done.
All right.
My first inductee is a decision made by the WWE. And everybody who knows me and was around me when this happened, Aaron and Kyle know for sure that I flipped the fuck out.
I think I know what you're about to say.
When those motherfuckers, when they made the decision to not only make it a job, but to give Kurt Angle's last match to that no good, lousy Applebee's waiter, Baron Corbin. That was that was like taking me as a wrestling fan, laying me on the ground and shitting in my mouth. That was one of the worst decisions ever made in the history of wrestling. You couldn't do better for Kurt Angle than to let that jobber, that no personality. Steve Blackman had more personality than Baron Corbin.
Well, he was with Al Snow.
Lance Storm has more personality than Baron Corbin.
Can I be serious for a second, Archie?
But yeah, that is one of the worst decisions any pro wrestling company has ever made, and that's including the Yeti. And it was just, I was so mad when that happened, and I didn't induct it last year, but I figured I'd induct it this year into the Hall of Shame.
I'd like to point out that when you were yelling at how bad Baron Corbin was, Kyle, myself, and David Gold all had the same face. It was what's that ugly smell face? That we all three of us made the same exact face.
I made that face when he said shit in his mouth.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. That's when we all turned.
That's figuratively what they did to me as a fan on that occasion. Because
that's a good induction. I can't lie.
It was a terrible decision. It was a terrible decision.
It was. Would have rather Jason Jordan beat Kurt Angle in his last match.
Yes, at least Jason Jordan's a decent wrestler with a decent personality. Baron Corbin is a waste of TV time every single week.
And it's Kurt's son. So
and it's Kurt's son.
Would beat the son.
It's actually very unfortunate that he got injured and can't wrestle anymore because he was developing. He was really developing into American Alpha. Was that their name, American Alpha?
Yep.
They were a great tag team. And it's really sad what they've done to Gable. I know I'm getting off topic, but Jason Jordan was developing into a really good athlete, and I think he had a good future ahead of him, and that's kind of sad.
I would like to see the payoff from the Kurt Angle being his father storyline.
There wasn't one.
You know, I think the payoff was he was going to turn on Kurt, beat up Kurt, and then say, "I was never your son. We faked this." You know,
but your actual son is Hornswoggle.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was going to involve fucking Hornswoggle. That's what they always go back to.
Oh boy. Okay, David, you're up next. You're up again.
All right, my third inductee is from 2001.
Oh, you're third.
It is the entire Stone Cold heel run. WWF, what the fuck were you thinking
with the alliance?
You decided to turn Stone Cold heel with the shitty gimmick, and then you changed his theme song to some shitty da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Was that when they gave him the Disturbed song?
Sorry,
no,
guys.
that was after Glass Shatters with Disturbed. That was awesome. This is when he just had a theme that was da-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. And he came up with a line that nobody thought would become as big as it did today. But the entire 2001 Stone Cold heel run was and should have never happened.
What?
The only thing that I really looked at, and it's not even necessarily that it was okay. The only thing that was really entertaining to me during his heel run was I did like his interaction with Kurt Angle, but that was a very small part of it. Overall, it was a very poor decision.
And not only did we get slapped in the face once, but we got it twice that year because
okay, so we're talking about Austin turning heel.
Yeah, because remember when WCW invaded, like they're like, oh, it's the old Stone Cold, and he come back on Raw, and like everyone was flipping their shit because like,
I need the old Austin.
Yeah, and that was a great fucking episode of Raw. Because you had fucking Fred Blassie and everything in there, you know. And then what do? 6 days later, they fuck it all up again.
And then you have WCW win because they figure, oh, we don't have enough WCW talent, and we don't want it to be a WCW guy that wins. We're going to make it Stone Cold.
Well, I mean, by the time the invasion ended, I think everybody if they would have actually broken the promotions up, all the main eventers in every promotion would have been WWF guys anyway. By the end of it, you know,
the WCW champion.
So you have my third. You have my third Hall of Shame vote. 2001, and when Stone Cold decided not to show up a couple times, you fucking deserved it.
So that is Austin's heel turn. Archie, you're up next, buddy.
Yes. This might be unpopular with a few of you, but I am inducting the Boneyard match.
The Bone Zone match.
Yes. I find it to be one of the worst cinematic matches. Maybe the Wyatt Swamp fight took it out of its, into second. As great as it was to see The Undertaker ride in and ride off on a motorcycle, it was badly edited. I saw The Undertaker's ponytail disappear 4 times that night and reappear by the ending of the match.
That was your biggest problem?
No. There was more. The Druids made no sense. How the hell did AJ Styles control Druids? AJ Styles' hand popping out, which was obvious a piece of wood with the glove on it afterwards, made no fucking sense. He was back 3 weeks later. And I just think that it's shit on The Undertaker and AJ Styles, and they could have done something so much better. I realized there was no crowds because of COVID, but if they should have waited then and told me, you know what, man, take WrestleMania off this year and wait until we're back, and then retire at next year's WrestleMania.
Here's something that I don't understand, Archie, because you bring that up, but if you remember the next wonderful fucking movie presentation that WWF did, Money in the Bank, they played up like there's going to be a rematch between AJ Styles and Undertaker.
Right, because he looked at the poster. Yeah.
But you can't tell me they weren't recording the last ride and they knew the Undertaker was done.
Well, maybe he sprung it on him. I don't know. Maybe he just, but it's like, like you said, how could you put Kurt Angle out to Baron Corbin? How could you let The Undertaker go out like that? Which, granted, he went out in all his glory, but it was shit. You didn't edit it properly. You didn't put it together properly. And it looked like it was like Vince was sitting there one day and go, okay, just go find a vacant lot and let them fight.
And you weren't... His career didn't end it's the same thing that I say about the quote-unquote greatest wrestling match. It's like I brought up. You can call it the greatest wrestling match all you want, but if you shot it in different angles and it took different takes to make it, it wasn't a wrestling match. It was a movie. It was Hogan and Zeus on No Holds Barred. Right. That's not a wrestling match. That's a movie.
Hey, that was a great match, by the way.
Oh man,
they made that movie in one night. Pal.
Hogan and Zeus was miles better than the Boneyard match.
Teeny wangers.
That was Vince McMahon jacking off, man. He got to electrocute Ted Turner, basically.
But yeah, I agree with you, Archie, on that. This is going to sound stupid, maybe. This is definitely going to sound stupid to anybody but me and my mindset. But I was more, even though I didn't like it, I am more pleased with the Swamp Thing, and not the show. But and here's why: because, like I said last week on the live show, that Swamp Thing wasn't a match; it was a vignette.
Right.
It was, if you would have broken that up through a TV show, it could have been vignettes. The Boneyard match was perceived to be a real fight. Yet, you got a camera showing the Undertaker on his motorcycle coming in there. You've got different camera angles. It was just
how the hell did AJ Styles hear him coming from a mile and a half away?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Oh, he's coming, and then all of a sudden, there's the Undertaker down the road. I ain't never heard a chopper coming from a mile and a half away. I'm sorry, but it's like you said, Art. You could change the Swamp Fight match into a vignette. Money in the Bank was good because it was comically good, and the Wyatt and Cena match gave us the NWO Cena and all those little perfect little moments. I just don't feel that they delivered for the Undertaker or AJ Styles for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it gets inducted.
Kyle?
Speaking of Undertaker, let's go to the gentleman that was supposed to be the solution to the Undertaker, Mordecai.
Mordecai.
Nice.
Oh, God, what
the White Knight.
piece of shit this was.
Hear me. Fear me. Oh, we hear you, and we damn sure fear you.
What the fuck? Then he had that giant fucking symbol thing, and
what wasn't he the guy that became the vampire dude?
Yeah, Kevin Thorne.
Kevin Thorne.
Yeah, Kevin Thorne.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
LA was hot though.
Yeah,
she was. What was her Ariel? But she had her real name was something. I forgot her real name. Yeah.
It's like Martinez is her last name.
Yeah. Shelly Martinez. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's bangable.
Yeah, Mordecai definitely belongs in the Hall of Shame.
How they ever thought that this was going to be like a gimmick to challenge the Undertaker, take over for the Undertaker? It was like, what?
It took place during that was the Ruthless Aggression era is funny to me because you look at, I mean, other than obviously Eddie, Angle, Brock Lesnar, and the Big Show, you look at the and the tag teams. But you look at SmackDown was where they threw a lot of those big lugs that had come through developmental and weren't ready to be on national TV yet, like Luther Reigns, Mordecai,
Jindrak.
See, I actually liked Sean O'Hare, and I liked that gimmick that Sean O'Hare had.
I did too, until they paired him with Roddy Piper. Whoever thought Roddy Piper would kill somebody's career?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, their characters didn't go together.
Right.
No.
They didn't make any sense together.
But the storyline made no sense either. He was feuding with somebody that they decided to pair with Jimmy Snuka. So, let's bring Roddy Piper back to hit Snuka with another coconut.
Yeah.
You know? But to Kyle's, what Kyle's saying about Mordecai, that was not the first time they failed with Kevin Thorne.
No.
It was Mordecai, then he became Kevin Thorne, and then he no longer wanted to be a vampire, so they brought him in under his real name, Kevin Ferteg, which it was just Kevin Thorne as a vampire without teeth in his mouth. He was still wearing the same outfit. And they just kept shitting on him.
And it was all bad.
It was bad.
And it was
really
all bad.
Yep.
So there you go, Mordecai. Welcome to the We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame. Anything else on the anti-taker there, Kyle? All right.
That right there says it all, the anti-taker.
Hey, this is a national treasure and the real world's champion, Nick Aldis. And just when you thought that every possible wrestling podcast name in the world was taken, Nate comes in with a clinch with the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Based on Nate's unbelievable level of praise for me, I would go ahead and say that Nate sounds like a knowledgeable, smart, trustworthy human being, and his expertise should be lauded and appreciated by all of the listeners of the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
So, Aaron, who is your next inductee into the We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame 2020?
My next inductee is going to, it's going to put a lot of people in at one time, but we're going to put them in as a group, and coming up to the stage is the guy that allowed it to happen. Let's bring up Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff, get your ass up here. And he's going to induct the Dungeon of Doom.
Wow.
And we're gonna
go ahead. That's Beefcake getting inducted twice in 1 year. Look at that.
And no,
wow, that's history.
No, Eric Bischoff, you cannot go on a 20-minute diatribe of why it was good for business. We know.
And here we're gonna go. We're gonna go ahead and list the members. You guys ready?
Yeah. Definitely members.
It's the Master. It's the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan, Shark, Zodiac, Meg, Barbarian, Conan, Kamala, Jimmy Hart, the Yeti, the One Man Gang, Ron the Leprechaun, Steve Gangsta, Loch Ness, Miss Jackie, the Giant, and the Ultimate Solution, who was first the final
solution.
Yeah. Yeah, might have been some Jewish folks at Turner that had a problem with that name.
So the lawyer raised his hands like, I got something I got to say.
Hey, that's Meshuggah.
I heard he was Akeem.
Might not want to have
in the dungeon.
Speaking of Loch Ness, there's a great moment, and I think it's Uncensored 96 during the Cage of Doom or whatever, the Alliance and Hulkamania.
But they didn't even know what they wanted that match to be.
But the giant fights Loch Ness for a chance to fight Ric Flair the next night on Nitro. So if Loch Ness had won, he would have fought Ric Flair for the world title. So think about that, ladies and gentlemen.
Am I the only one that thinks that whole thing is still better than what we're watching now?
Oh, it is.
No,
Loch Ness almost falls flat on his ass. And Bobby Heenan with the line of the night. That's what happens when you don't tie your shoes.
I think Bobby also says that guy uses jump rope for dental floss too during that match.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that came out of the Dungeon of Doom. Okay, the Giant falling off of the Kobo Hall
and coming out normal like nothing happened.
Coming out normal, and
well, and like Hogan sells it like, oh my God, I can't believe he just fell. It's like, you fucking
murdered. Right. You murdered somebody.
Jesus, Hogan.
And the Tower of Doom match that Kyle brought up. Also coming out of this is the worst War Games match ever.
Ugh.
This is the lineup of a War Games match. Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Lex Luger, and Sting. Which sounds okay. That's a good team.
We're supposed to have Vader on it.
Versus,
oh God,
Kamala, the Ugandan Giant, the Zodiac, Shark, and Meng. That was a War Games match.
I'll be honest, Shark and Ming aren't too bad, but Kamala and Zodiac, not so good.
And that's what I'm saying. There's some talented people in this Doom shit, but it's
Did you by any chance mention
fucking trash? And then, like, Hogan putting his hand in there, and he's like, the water.
It's not hot.
It's bubbling, but it's not hot.
Did you mention Max Muscle as a former member?
Oh, Max Muscle. He was in there, too.
For, like, the last month.
Yeah, I think he killed himself because of it. And then...
But like, Hogan... No, let's not floss or get past this point. Like, Hogan sticks his hand in it, and he, like, pulls it back, and he's like,
yells,
ah!
Right.
It's not hot.
What did that mean?
Can we not conveniently forget that Hulk Hogan said as he was standing in the arena, I'm going to enter the Dungeon of Doom. And then he entered the Dungeon of Doom. Was the Dungeon of Doom in the fucking bathroom? How did he get to the Dungeon of Doom? Right. It was obviously it was so stupid. Right. And then everybody's in their tights. Like, even when Vader comes in to help him, Vader's in his tights. You know, it was just all so ludicrous. Right. And it was essentially, the whole thing was Kevin Sullivan jerking Hulk Hogan off anyway.
Right.
It was all to appease Hogan's ego.
And guess who brought it down? who brought down the Dungeon of Doom.
Aaron, you got a little lag there. Well, yeah, you're right. He was
because the entire time
was a spy.
Huh?
That's what you turned.
The Booty Man was a spy.
Hogan, made the Dungeon of Doom with Kevin Sullivan, but yet you were a spy all along. For what? What were you spying on? The Dungeon of Doom wouldn't have existed if you didn't turn on Hulk Hogan. That's like entrapment. That's like going to a bad neighborhood, looking for drugs, and then calling a cop.
Because Hogan didn't have anything else better for him to do. He's like the mentally challenged friend. Like, you go over here and fucking you check out, you spy on that Dungeon of Doom.
But I guess the stupidity of Brutus also is during the first NWO pay-per-view, him running out with a cake celebrating Hulk, the NWO winning the world title. And then beating the shit out of him. 6 months later, he comes back as the Disciple. So he was famous for getting beat up by Hogan and then coming back as his best friend again.
That guy made a fucking career out of being Hogan's toady.
Right. And then let's not forget the fact that
it's Bagman. That's what he was.
The Ultimate Warrior mind controlled the Disciple, and he was on the Warrior's side for a while.
Right.
Like, what the hell?
but Kyle,
that was Brutus's best thing, Disciple.
Kyle, you're leaving out the best part, though. The way they changed the Disciple to be a member of the Ultimate Warrior, they wrote on his vest.
Yeah.
That's all they did. They put O on his vest, and that was enough to change him.
You're right. God.
How are we going to change Brutus tonight? We're going to change his vest. Here, throw this one on.
But Aaron, you're correct. The Dungeon of Doom was a heaping pile of shit, and it is now the next inductee in the Hall of Shame. My next one is also a storyline / stable. Anybody that listens to the show on a regular basis knows that my least favorite year, before 2007 probably. We don't talk about after that, but my least favorite year in the history of the WWF was 1999. 1999 was a bit of hot garbage. However, the biggest bit of hot garbage within said hot garbage was the corporate ministry. Oh, what a terrible story. Wow. What a terrible angle. How boring was that? It was Undertaker was injured beyond belief, did not want to be there.
I will disagree on one point.
Okay.
I know that it's a letdown that Vince is the higher power, but
son of a bitch.
Yes, that's great. But when Austin becomes the fucking CEO,
right?
That was the only redeemable fucking thing of it.
For that 1 minute, but then they go to a.
Then we have the Union too. The Union was great too.
Yeah, but hold on, Nate. Okay, Austin is the CEO. We go to the next pay-per-view to get the CEO away from Austin, where the ladder, the briefcase above the ladder gets mysteriously lifted, but we never get to find out who did it.
You see,
that's Vince Russo 101. But
almost as bad as who was the Raw general manager when it was that laptop.
They did
that bullshit because they didn't. No.
The only thing that was great about that was two great things about the Raw GM thing. When it was the thing was CM Punk being like, "I suggest you watch me make snow angels in the ring."
Right.
And then when Edge speared it.
Yes, when he beat it up, definitely.
The corporate ministry was stupid from the beginning. It was stupid from its impetus because, this man is the Lord of Darkness. He sits upon Satan's throne,
right? And
his whole thing is, I want to be the CEO of the WWE. I'm going to take your company, Vince. What a stupid idea for an Undertaker angle.
Years and years ago. See, like years ago, they did a magazine, and I still have it, and I'd have to find it. But it was like they just did like that last ride thing on the WWE network, where it was like they were like going into like the actual follow Mark Calloway around and everything. Well, this magazine was like a big deal because it was like the first time like Mark Calloway sat down and did like interviews and like took people into his house and all this shit. And he actually talked about the ministry angle, and he said he fucking hated it. And the reason he hated it was because his character was the Undertaker. He was unstoppable. He could not be defeated. He was the dead man. And he needed like 15 guys to run in and help him win his matches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he fucking hated it.
And during that time, he had the worst matches of his career, and the whole thing was just garbage. It was just garbage.
Well, I mean,
so,
I'm forced to disagree, but that's my opinion.
I'd like to go back to what I said about the whole Brutus Beefcake being the spy in the Dungeon of Doom. The reason The Undertaker started the ministry was because he was supposed to be shooting on Vince McMahon. You know, the reason it started. Undertaker does the shoot interview on Raw and says, I didn't run to WCW. I stayed here with you. I'm loyal, and you shit all over me. And then a couple months later, here's the Ministry of Darkness. To all of a sudden, now it's Vince McMahon that put all this together. Why was that the end game? Yeah. And then it led to The Undertaker teaming with The Big Show. And we got that oh-so-great promo about how they drove out to the desert on bikes. And he told you that was the most incoherent, drug-induced promo I've ever heard in my life. And I heard the Ultimate Warrior cut some pretty bad promos.
But I did like that Buried Alive match against Mankind and The Rock. That was awesome.
Those were good. And the SummerSlam match against Austin. But
I'll say this.
That was 98.
The dumbest thing that they did during the entire ministry thing, do you know what it was?
Hanging the Boss Man?
No. Well, it was pretty dumb. But it wasn't the dumbest thing. The dumbest thing they did was, if you remember, they had Austin down, okay? And the fucking higher power shows his face to Austin and then closes it and leaves. And then the next week, he takes his hood off and reveals it's Vince McMahon. You guys know that?
Right.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So he shows Steve, closes it, and Austin's like, what the fuck? And then the next week, why wouldn't Steve Austin walk out right away and be like, it was fucking Vince?
Well, Austin that's how they explained him becoming CEO, because he was at Titan Towers getting the CEO credentials from Linda and Stephanie.
Also bad, and now in the Hall of Shame.
Yes.
David Gold, you're up next, my friend.
All right. Let me see. Let me pick. Which one do I want to do first? I'm going to have to go with a decision they decided to make, and I believe this was a little bit after the Ruthless Aggression era, putting the World Heavyweight Championship on the Great Khali.
Ooh, bad one. Ooh.
Bad one.
That makes my Hall of Shame.
Your champion.
It looks good on paper.
Having The Undertaker and Kane and a bunch of, guys that were still kind of doing all right in their careers. I mean, they were getting towards the latter part, but they still had a couple years left in them. Having them job to the Khali. The way he held the belt upside down when he held it up.
The way he couldn't move.
His mouthpiece was terrible. They didn't even give him a good manager.
The way he couldn't move around the ring.
And just in general, like even his figures suck.
Fucking hard camera.
Even his figures suck. I mean,
now correct me if I'm wrong. He won that in a battle royal when Batista surrendered the title, correct?
He won it in a battle royal, but he defended it multiple times and still won.
No, but Batista couldn't defend. He was injured, and he gave the belt up.
There's the story of the early to mid-2000s. Batista's hurt.
The run should have never happened. WWE lost their fucking minds.
They were trying to get the audience in India to buy in and get on Indian television. That's what
they could have done that in a completely, entirely different way. Even the people in India were like, "What the fuck?"
Think about, like I said, go back and watch that where like Sean is telling the Great Khali, like, "No, it's that camera."
Right.
Fucking wandering around like he's a doofus.
Like,
Made
what?
the Great Khali forever live in the Hall of Shame.
The
and
Indians-
then to double back on that, when they
The
changed
Indians
his
weren't even
gimmick-
like
Oh yeah, you went.
the Indians. The Indians weren't even like, look, Khali's not our favorite wrestler. We love Mantar.
Right.
And, the problem,
Mantar.
and then they changed his gimmick, and he's now a dancer
Right.
and into the ladies and stuff.
Oh, come
no,
on.
no, Great Khali,
Why?
you are the Hall of Shame.
You
The
know,
Indians
guys,
licking a cow is the funny
Great,
joke.
Great Khali is systemic of a problem too. I'm currently reading the amazing Andre the Giant biography. If anybody gets a chance, it's probably one of the best wrestling books, next to probably Bret Hart's book and Mankind's first book that I've ever read. It's very detailed, very in depth, but I don't want to get off the rails here.
Right.
Andre the Giant. Since Andre the Giant, Vince McMahon has spent his entire fucking career trying to find the next Andre the Giant.
He did. His name is
And
Big
it-
Show.
And it always fails miserably. And
He
here's the
did, he
problem with
ruined
the Big Show. He ruined, yes, he absolutely.
He ruined him, yeah.
They ruined the Big Show from the minute he debuted in the WWF, because
Yeah.
within 2 weeks he was having regular matches with regular wrestlers, and he was not featured as a giant. He was not featured as an attraction.
Nope.
He was featured as just another wrestler on the card.
They ruined him that night. They ruined him that night.
He
Because
looked like a
throws-
bumbling idiot because he chokeslammed Stone Cold to the cage and helped him win the match.
Yeah, it's like this is Vince's great fucking
Oop.
master plan, and he's like,
Oops.
oh,
Let's bring Paul White. Let's call him Paul White. Like, really?
Right, but then the next week we conveniently.
If he was from Ohio, he would have been like, oh,
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 I love.
Sorry about that.
Like 3 or 4 weeks.
Let me just get by you here.
bye.
Like 3 or 4 weeks after the Big Show debuted as Paul White and then turned into the Big Show, there was this big news story that the reason they named him the Big Show was so his call letters would be TBS.
TBS. Yeah.
And that they were thinking about naming Chris Jericho something that would have the letters TNT as a middle finger to WCW. Can you imagine if it was like TNT Chris Jericho? That just wouldn't have made any sense.
No, not at all. Well, Archie, you're up next. David, you have officially inducted Khali into the Hall of Shame.
My next entrant was meant to be like 2 different entrants, but then I decided to lump them all together because I think the whole idea is just bad. I am inducting the WWE's decision to do Saudi Arabia pay-per-views.
I almost inducted that.
Well, here's why. They're not getting a good product out of the people they're bringing there. The Undertaker has had 3 bad matches there. Goldberg almost died in one of those matches because he concussed himself early on.
If I can add to that, Archie, I would tell you that when they did the first show, they asked for Yokozuna.
Yes.
They asked for Hulk Hogan.
They asked for the Ultimate Warrior.
They asked for the Ultimate Warrior.
They asked
and
for
what did
dead
Vince give him?
wrestlers.
He gave him Akibono.
Right.
Here you go, pal.
He didn't just give him. He didn't
how
just
about
give
the
him
fact
Akibono.
that almost all of your roster and your crew was held fucking hostage.
Hostage. Exactly. That was one of my other points, Kyle. You let them get held hostage on a plane. The plane sat there on the tarmac with them in it, sweating to death.
How about we go to a place that knows Yokozuna passed away?
And hold on. Vince is on his private jet going, I sure hope the boys and girls that are left for Saudi are going to be okay.
Jesus.
Like, really?
And let's get to the meat of the matter. Not only all of those things, but you're taking money from a country that still treats women like it's the fucking 1400s.
And kills people.
You're taking barbarians, essentially. It's barbarians with fucking money. That's what Saudi Arabia is.
Not even a fucking month after, they fucking killed somebody and chop them up.
Right. Oh, and what's
WWE's like, oh, well.
Hold on. A month. You're saying a month after. Okay. Last show. They're stuck there on the tarmac. They're held hostage. Vince is already home. Everybody gets home just in time for Monday Night Raw. What does Vince do on Wednesday? Signs a $50 million contract to go back again.
Mm-hmm. I've never watched a Crown Jewel, and I never will, because just based on principle. Just based on principle, I'll never watch one.
David mentioned we want Yokozuna. They gave them Akibono. One of the pay-per-views they did there, they asked him to bring the Ultimate Warrior. What did they do? Hey, Luke Gallows, go put on that famous face paint that you used to wear in Japan.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't be able to tell the difference.
Go be the ultimate Luke.
You know? And then the only thing that came out of it, but then they shit on it, I'm going to go back to the Boneyard match. They started the Undertaker AJ Styles storyline in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm. Where Undertaker dropped AJ?
Right, in 3 seconds. So that was the only good thing to come out of it, but then they shit on it come WrestleMania. So thanks. Mm-hmm. Thanks, but no thanks.
But yeah, that thing definitely, like I said, I almost inducted it. I had a sneaking suspicion somebody else would, so I left it off.
I had it as Goldberg versus The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia, DX versus The Undertaker and Kane in Saudi Arabia. Then I'm like, you know what? No, it's just Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
To do with anybody else.
And you know what? As an honorable mention, not only are we going to, I'm as the chief executive officer of We Can't Wrestle, I'm going to say that not only are we going to induct the Crown Jewel pay-per-views into the Hall of Shame, we're going to induct the entire barbaric country of Saudi Arabia into the Hall of Shame.
Sounds good.
Kyle, you're next, buddy.
All right. I'm going to say 3 simple words, and I guarantee each and every one of you are going to go,
oof. Oop.
Chamber of Horrors.
Oh, God.
Oh, fuck. This shit show.
I almost put that on my list.
Okay. It's the ugliest cage ever. Yeah. It's the ugliest cage ever.
Where do I start? The fact that the fucking the switch is flipped down and they film Cactus Jack flipping it back up.
Yep. The producer's like, hey, the cactus, yeah. The switch, oh, no problem. I got it, boss.
And then you look at the match. It's like they booked the pay-per-view. And then they were like, so they booked the pay-per-view. They wanted Sting to be in this cage match. Then they booked the pay-per-view and they were like, well, who the fuck else is left? Right. And then like nobody in the match is actually feuding with each other. They just threw it's like here's Big Van Vader and Diamond Stud and Abdullah the Butcher and Cactus Jack. We're just going to throw these guys together.
Cactus Jack
and you sell the
Abdullah.
entire pay-per-view. You sell the entire pay-per-view on this cage match, and it's the first fucking thing on the show.
But then, all right, Nate, you said nobody's feuding. Here's the crack up. Abdullah the Butcher and Cactus Jack are actually feuding during this pay-per-view. But they're on the same team, and they're beating the shit out of each other.
Nobody's feuding with each other on the opposite teams.
Right.
And then Abdullah Butcher gets electrocuted, and there's a fucking fireworks show.
Yeah, he gets electrocuted, and it's more like a Roman candles going off.
What the fuck, guys?
But to his credit, he is shaking.
It was somewhat entertaining, though.
But isn't Abdullah shaking even when he's sitting still? I mean, he's he's just blobbing around, you know.
I would shake if you could put a quarter in my fucking head.
See, David's right though. It's still good because it's like a bad B movie.
It's a train wreck.
You know what I mean? Right. But
it's better than those vignette matches we've been getting on every pay-per-view.
Oh yeah,
this is true.
We can shit on old wrestling all we want, but anything we're talking about on here is better than anything going on today. But yeah, the Chamber of Horrors is most definitely worthy of being in the Hall of Shame.
I bet you found it very entertaining when Dustin put his hand in that electrical box and had to stutter for months, and then it disappeared.
Oh, that. Gold Dust
fantastic. He straight up made Triple H lose it for real on that one segment on Raw. Like Triple H was not working.
Cornbread,
cornbread, damn it!
Hey Nate,
good shit.
I'll give you a sip. I'll give you a bite of my hot dog if you give me a sip of your Slurpee.
I don't think Booker T ever kept a straight face in a backstage segment with Gold Dust.
That segment when he's in bed with that chick and then Goldust is in the bed.
I want you to leave the NWO. He's like, what the fuck? And I wore this for nothing.
When he dressed up like Oprah. Remember when he dressed up like Oprah when they were in Chicago?
Yeah, he dressed up like a freaking Darth Vader. It was great, man. That whole thing. I want you to leave the NWO.
I know he wants to be treated seriously now in AEW, but he's still got the damn face paint on and everything. They really need to let him be a little comedic, because comedy Dustin is hysterical.
Yes.
You know, and as much as everybody wants to shit on it, like when he was the whole Forever Unchanged Goldust,
that was still comedy gold.
Oh my god, would he come out as fucking Dusty?
That was some of was some of my favorite late '90s Jim Ross stuff. Because Jim Ross's character hated that character. He'd be like, "Forever Unchained, left his wife and his baby." He was so angry. His character was so angry.
Tell me all that pop when he came out. Remember during those couple months when he was the self-righteous Goldust against Val Venus?
Yeah.
And he was Dustin or whatever. And then all of a sudden he had Val did a sex video with Marlena. And then all of a sudden, Goldust shows back up and then puts Val in the corner and kicks him straight in the nuts. I know I wasn't the only one that popped.
My favorite thing that came out of there was he would come out with a sign that says, "He is coming." Val Venus came out with a sign that read, "I have come." And it was like perfectly done. If you're going to have any character do it,
yes,
it's Val Venus. You know what I mean?
So, Aaron, it is your turn now, brother. The next inductee, we've got the Chamber of Horrors is officially in the hall.
All right, and we've talked about this as an action figure. I was going to save this one for last, and it was weird because I wrote it down. I shouldn't say I wrote it down. I put it in my phone, and then I saw you guys posting pictures of it and shit, and I was like, oh man, this is some foreshadowing. Honest to God, I didn't think about it after you guys did it. I had this on my list. It's Rocco the Puppet.
That's such a bad storyline.
Yes.
Rocco the Puppet is one of the worst fucking things I've ever seen in my
It was a scary looking puppet too.
Entire life. As a wrestling fan.
It didn't match the It's not like the LOD went mystical or anything like that. Like, ooh, we're voodoo, or you're the fucking Legion of Doom.
Why the fuck did WWF mess up the Legion of Doom in general every time?
Because they didn't create them. Because they didn't create them.
Every freaking time. All 3 runs.
Yeah.
You're going to the UK to do your first big pay-per-view, and your idea is to put Rocco the Puppet on a chopper with Paul Ellering, and that's the end. I mean, the entrance was cool as shit until you realize there's a puppet on Paul Ellering's bike.
And see, with the WWE, it's even before the puppet,
right?
The biggest problem with the WWE with LOD, honestly, I might even change it. I could add Rocco the Puppet's fucking terrible. Okay, maybe it would just be LOD in the WWE, WWF in general. Yeah. The problem with it is when Vince got Hawk and Animal, the worst thing he did with them was clean them up. When they were in the NWA, they were
gritty.
They were gritty. They were badass, kick-ass motherfuckers. And when
they were good in WCW too,
right?
They were good in WCW too. WCW knew what to do with them.
But every time Vince had them, he wanted to clean them up and make them look
last run.
Presentable.
That last run, it was to make fun of Hawk because he was a drug addict and an alcoholic.
But that fucking Rocco Puppet, that thing is
I got a question.
Fucking trash.
I got a question that's slightly off topic, but kind of on topic. Does for a company that pays for people's sobriety to send them to rehab, it seems like whenever they have a wrestler who's had a drug or alcohol addiction, they like to flaunt it. Jake the Snake Roberts against Jerry the King Lawler. CM Punk's father used to be an alcoholic, so they had Jericho slam him with a bottle of Jack Daniels. Hawk with his problem. Why is that the Jeff Hardy now?
I can explain it to you. I can explain it to you based on what we know the little we know, because the only things you know about Vince McMahon is what other people say about him that have worked for him. It is because of Vince McMahon's personality, because Vince McMahon looks at sickness and addiction and things like that as a weakness, so he looks at them as things to bully and make fun of, because he's a prick.
But I mean,
that's my observation, Archie.
No, I agree with you, and I just don't understand. It's happening with Jeff Hardy right now, and they just made him fight in a barroom match against Sheamus.
And it's not even interesting. It's not even interesting. Right. SmackDown's the worst TV. SmackDown right now, in its current incarnation, is the worst major network wrestling TV show ever produced. I'd rather watch Thunder from 1999 than SmackDown right now.
The other night,
right. Vince McMahon's an asshole.
The other night before Extreme Rules came on, I was watching the WWE Network, just had it on in the background or whatever, and they had the Jeff Hardy story. And Jeff Hardy's on there promising I'm never gonna, screw up again. It's like, how many times have you done this, man? Quit promising it. Quit telling your fans, I'm gonna.
See, that's the whole thing with sobriety, though. You're not supposed to make a promise to anybody but yourself.
Right.
You're not supposed to be on national television and go, I promise I'll never screw. No, nobody cares if you screwed up. It's that you don't hurt yourself.
Oh, I forgot to say this, by the way. Inducting Rocco was Dink.
Dink?
Dink was inducting Rocco? Okay.
Yeah.
Aww,
Dink.
I would have loved to have heard that. It could have been WeLC all over again.
It would have been short.
Hey-o. All right. So my next inductee, if syphilis and gonorrhea were a wrestling promotion, they would be XPW. I am inducting Aaron inducted an entire promotion last year. I am inducting an entire promotion. XPW. It is when XPW is when the Fremunda cheese falls off of ECW. XPW was fucking terrible.
The only thing XPW ever did that entertained me was that fucking Nate.
When New Jack throws Vic Grimes off the thing, intending to kill him,
and that's not even what I was gonna bring up. The only thing XPW ever did that I enjoyed is that fucking promo that Shane Douglas did.
Yeah,
he had the camera in his hand, and he was talking about Hulk Hogan. He's like, "Suck then, you suck now." It was that was the only good thing they ever did.
Gold though, because here's the thing. Douglas is in the middle of the ring with a live mic and a phone in his hand, calling WCW, Hogan, Bischoff, and Chris Candido's in the background going don't tell them I'm here. Don't tell them I'm here. Because he's still under contract. Yeah. He's still under contract with WCW.
Well, and here, okay, so I think the funniest thing about that Vic Grimes and New Jack thing is where New Jack talks about it, where he's like, Vic Grimes is like, I can't feel my legs, Jack. He's like, you're going to need your legs.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Well, New Jack is in my top 5 favorite shoots. I love watching New Jack shoot.
And Jeremy Borash, when he's interviewing him about it, he's like, was that the receipt? He was like, that was the receipt. That was the
register.
Change.
That was the register. That was the till.
Well, I'm sure you all watched Dark Side of the Ring, New Jack, right?
Yes.
When he explains it, he's like, I drew this motherfucker off, and he's like, I can't feel my legs. Don't worry, I'll use them for you. They threw him off, and all he did was hit the ropes, and I thought he was going to be dead. He got up and walked out of the arena. I'm like, wow, what a heartless son of a bitch you are.
And also, it's also funny. Sorry, Nate.
That's all right. Go ahead.
It's also funny when they throw him off, and he misses the tables. Or he doesn't completely miss the tables, but he hits some of the tables and he bounces off the ropes and shit. Then the announcer's like, we'd like to thank you guys.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. Please get some of the leftover popcorn and hot dogs on your way out.
Vic Grimes going to need some medical attention.
Yeah,
you're probably going to need a chemical scrub after attending this show. Jeez. So, yeah, we've talked about that, but let's not gloss over the fact that this promotion was awful. It was awful.
Well, to their credit, Nate, they were owned by a porn director.
Yes, and they had
Rob Black.
Remember their main guy, the real
Messiah.
deal. Well, yeah, Messiah, but they're like every extreme wrestling promotion always has its main guy that's quote unquote a real wrestler. Like ECW had Shane Douglas and et cetera, et cetera. Their main wrestler was that guy, the real deal, Damian Steele. This guy was like a poor man's Test, and Test is a poor man's Test.
And he was like 8 inches shorter.
Yeah, poor man's Test with a terrible porn actress as his manager, and he looked like he needed to condition his hair. He couldn't cut a promo for shit, and that's your best guy. That's your main event, and the rest of it was just terrible. Like every time I watch any of those shows, I feel like I need to go take a shower.
All right,
it was awful.
Nate,
Pogo the Clown.
Yeah, Pogo the Clown.
Nate, if you
Pogo away. What's up, Archie?
If you could find it, look for the shoot video from that guy Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
He explains that.
Is he the one that got his fingers cut off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they cut his thumb off.
That Damian Steele was put with Lizzie Borden, who's the girl you said was his manager.
Right.
Lizzie Borden was Rob Black's wife in real life. And he caught them together. That's why he never got the big push he was supposed to. He put her with him as just to give him a manager. And then he walked in on them. They were together. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to
seems
fire.
Like he probably got the push.
Right? No. he was pushing. He didn't get a push. And so Rob Black wants to fire him. And he's like, you know what? I'm not going to fire him until I get him hurt. So he sent him out to the ring with like one of their biggest guys that is a hardcore wrestler. Mm-hmm. And has him get injured. He legitimately gets his leg broken. So, okay, Damian Steele's gone. Here's Messiah now, the next big thing in their company. Who does he put with Messiah? Lizzie Borden. Who does he catch with Messiah? Lizzie Borden. What does he do next? He cuts the man's thumb off. Like, dude, stop putting your wife with the main eventers.
I guess he couldn't threaten to take their push away. Like, what are you going to do? Go into the room and say, "You will never main event the Anaheim Boys Gym." Right. I mean, whatever. He can't.
And here's the other thing. At some point,
Sorry, Kyle. Go ahead.
No, at some point, you got to put the blame on his wife.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Stop putting your keep spreading her fucking legs. Like,
stop putting your porn star wife to go with good-looking guys that work for your company.
And
she's spreading herself like cream cheese on a bagel. You got to cut this out.
But every woman in that company was a porn star.
I'll preface this with
every
XPW.
woman in there was a porn star, and a couple of the wrestlers were too. Pogo the Clown actually had his own porno movie.
I don't know why, but that's very humorous to me.
So.
Pogo down on the Clown. All right. Anything else on Anything else on this disgusting promotion?
I'll preface this, okay, with XPW, and this is all that needs to be said about it. There was at one point, you know who XPW's like babyface was? Their big star. You know who it was?
Was it Kid?
Big Dick Dudley.
They were painting him up to be the next monster. To be their monster.
Yep.
All you need to know about.
So, David, you get our your. Well, I know we said we were going to give you 5 if you wanted 5, but as of right now, your last induction into this year's Hall of Shame.
I have one more.
So do I.
Yeah,
we all do.
We all have one more.
I'm going to go with, and we kind of discussed him briefly earlier, but I'm going to go with a storyline that was during the Attitude Era. And in my Hall of Shame, I'm going to pick the PP Chop Off Val Venus storyline.
Me choppy your PP.
Choppy your PP. That had to be one
shrinkage.
of the worst storylines in history. That I've ever seen. I feel like they just wanted to throw Funaki and Taka and everybody on TV. So they figured, let's do the choppy pee off. And then they try to Lorena Bob at him, the lights shut off, and then that's that. There's no conclusion. There's no...
They never tell you who killed the lights.
Who
And
killed the lights?
A reoccurring theme here seems to come back to Vince Russo a lot, bro.
So it's just he's hanging there, butt naked, and they're about to drop the TP off, and then boom, lights go out, and then that's it.
Explain something to me. You have a samurai sword. The lights go out. You turn the lights back on. He's still there, hanging there, butt naked. Why didn't you chop off his neck? What stopped you?
Why don't you just run back in? I chop it down. You know?
Right.
Crappy storyline, crappy storytelling, crappy way to kind of.
Guy goes with my wife. I'm still chopping off his dick. I don't care.
Just an overall Hall of Shame, crappy, and it almost feels like the Taskmaster should have walked in with Giant and Brutus and stuff,
and thrown some of that not hot water at.
It would have made more sense if the Shark and Kamala walked in and saved him.
The master
came in and saved him.
The master shows up. Yamaguchi, my son.
So wax on, wax off.
Pluck the snake from the Bengal tiger, or whatever.
We missed it.
Nate, you're borderlining on that racism. Just stop right there.
I'm just quoting the wizard here, or whatever the fuck his name was, the master.
Hope that's not the Grand Wizard.
Karate Kid, by the way. That is my Hall of Shame. Val Venus chop off the PP.
All right, and it was terrible. It was again 99. Well, no, that was 98. Yep. But epitome of a Vince Russo storyline.
The reason they said that Val Venus didn't lose his penis.
Yeah, I know.
Val's reason for the not being able to do it, but who killed the light, and why didn't they just do it? You know, whatever.
I'm sorry, a samurai sword still isn't going to miss shrinkage. Just saying.
Right.
I'm not defending it.
You'll still take a nut off, if anything. You know, oh, we missed the whole penis. We got his nut.
Right. Come out the next week with the nut on a necklace.
Then he's aerodynamic at that point.
This is my nutless right here.
He'll come out with that bike rider guy. What's that guy's name? Who had one nut, so he was cheated.
Armstrong.
Yeah, because he was aerodynamic. One nut, aerodynamic.
And if you don't want to use the real Lance Armstrong, you can bring out Brad Armstrong.
If you can exhume him at this point.
Right.
We're not gonna disrespect the good goddamn name of Brad Armstrong.
It would have been funny if they had him come out the next week like they really chopped it off and he went, "Hello, ladies. Hello, ladies."
He's wearing a bandage like a diaper instead of
you know the big you know the small Balboski. Hello, everybody.
That would be the
all right. Is it time for my last one?
Yes, sir.
No. I'm enjoying after the week.
This is the best wrestling podcast on the planet.
After the last couple of days that I've had, trust me, this has been a great release from everything else I've had going on. So.
Nice words there. Great.
Yeah.
Release.
Especially since we just got done talking about Val Venus.
Right. All right. So, my last entry is going to be a bit angrily entered into the shame.
Like me with Corbin earlier. It's cool.
Right. I may get a bit more vulgar, though, Nate.
That's fine. What the fuck
My
ever.
last entry is someone that I feel shills himself to the high heavens to sell every piece of merchandise that he can. And I understand that after being released from the biggest wrestling company in the world, you need to make money. But he's acting like he didn't get paid a fucking dollar from Vince McMahon for over 10 years. So I am putting into the Hall of Shame the biggest douchebag I think that there is in the wrestling world. You, Zack Ryder, are now in the Hall of Shame.
Woo.
We Can't Wrestle podcast.
You know it.
The day he got
best thing
released,
Zack Ryder. This is the best thing Zack Ryder ever accomplished. So
definitely, the day he got released from the WWE, he had a shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. 3 days later, he had his Jordans up not Zack Ryder limited edition Jordans, just regular Jordans with his fucking autograph on them. And he was selling those things for $300. Okay?
That was worded perfectly. Not Zack Ryder limited edition Jordans, just regular Jordans.
They were just regular blue Jordans.
I bought these at Foot Locker. I bought these at Foot Locker yesterday.
Right.
These are ring worn, I swear.
Did they have pumps?
No, they did not. He sells toys at 100% markup. He does what are they called? Toy breaks that he does on the Major League Podcast thing.
I've never been a member. I've never met a member of it, so I only know what you guys tell me.
Basically, he became a collector so he could control the market and say Jack's BCA are worth $150. No, they're not, unless they're MOC and unless they're mint and they're a limited edition one. So for that reason, I find Zack Ryder to be one of the biggest douchebags pieces of shit that I've ever encountered. Now, why I say encountered is I've met Brian Myers, Kurt Hawkins, on 3 occasions at Wrestle Pro Wrestling, where he was actually an owner with Pat Buck. Brian Myers is the most approachable, nicest guy I've ever met in the wrestling business. Didn't even want to charge me for an autograph before the show. I told him wait until the show starts so I could pay him, not to be the asshole who gets free autographs from the guys.
Right.
I've talked to him. He sits there for as many minutes as he can in between his customers to ask about questions and things like that. I've met Zack Ryder at WWE Access during WrestleMania week, and guess what? He signed my fucking autograph and looked at me and said, thanks, and never even said hello, never said goodbye. It was just like, get out of my way. And I paid to be at Access. So, fuck you, Zack Ryder.
Right. With a guy who was essentially achieved in WWE, and how long was he there? Shit. 12 years?
He had,
something like that.
Put it this way, he's been there long enough to where he has a ruthless aggression figure, I believe.
Right.
So,
I was going to say, I think the Major Brothers came in 06 or 07.
And remember, he came in and got more bigger when he was an edgehead. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And, you essentially achieved the superstar status of I don't know, Barry Horowitz, maybe. Maybe Barry Horowitz was a bigger star. What? Coco Beware?
Yeah.
Nah, he's not even at Coco Beware level.
But the Jordans pissed me off to the high heavens.
To be honest, the only thing I ever enjoyed of Zack Ryder in the WWE was when Kane pushed him off the stage in the wheelchair. That was funny.
I wish Kane would have done it every week after that.
Just a recurring
segment. You wish Kane would have walked up in Access and pushed him off.
Right.
After he signed your shit and said, next,
right.
Kane comes over, let's go.
Right. I apologize for Mr. Ryder's behavior. It's time for him to go.
Well, I will say this. Woo, woo, woo. Welcome to the Hall of Shame, Zack Ryder. Kyle, your final inductee this year?
All right, so this one is probably going to get a little heated as well. So this is what happens when you fucking put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fucking kickouts of finishers in matches. This is what happens. This is where we get to. And that is fucking Dick Kick City. I am so fucking tired of seeing people kick the other person in the nuts to win a match. It's unfucking creative. Like I said, this is the point we're at now. Because once you've kicked out a fucking 5 tombstones or 7 F5s, what do? You kick somebody in the fucking nuts. Like this. Yeah. It's uncreative. It's bullshit. It's shitty wrestling. It's shitty writing.
It's lazy, is what it is. Yes. It's lazy, and you're right. Like, this is going to sound funny. Like, this is only on a pro wrestling podcast would you hear this quote. But a nut shot used to mean something. You know what I mean?
Like, do you miss a good China nut shot where she?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and just sat there. Like, she didn't move it either. Like, she put the arm up, hit him in the nuts, and just left her arm there, like to say, "Yep, I just fucked your nuts up.
Or even she even did those. She even did good accident ones on those, like when she'd accidentally just punch Foley in the ass cheek. You know, like it was.
And she would just hold it there, like,
Yeah.
This is where my arm is, bro.
She
Right
was
now.
relishing in the moment of hitting him in the nuts. That's what it was. She was enjoying it.
That's what Archie wants to do to Ryder right now.
Yes.
But I want to preface this by saying also, I'm sick and tired of people saying like, oh, they're taking him to Suplex City, or they're taking him to Dick City, or they're taking him to DDT City. Like, stop. Fucking
Stop
quit.
it. It's like Peter Griffin. Stop it.
You sound like Jim Cornette now, who spent an entire podcast bitching when Foley did a dick flip from Joey Ryan. He was so pissed. Like, I can't believe the legend Foley got flipped by Ryan's dick.
Well, I wish Joey Ryan would fall into a trash compactor, but that's just me. But yes,
Joey Ryan.
After all those stories came out, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he has too, Nate. I don't think that he'll be around.
Well, no, he's done in the wrestling business. I hated him before all this because, I mean, I didn't like him when I first saw him in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, fucking 7-8 years ago. The guy's
nothing else. Joey Ryan, it was his fucking actual personality, fucking amped up.
Right, he told
10,
us.
So
he told us.
He did.
Is my turn coming up?
Yep. So, Aaron, what is your next inductee into the We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame? Your last one for this year.
It's my last one. Coming up to the stage to induct this person is Mark Ruffalo.
That's random as fuck.
So, Mark Ruffalo.
Uh-oh.
Stupid. Mark Ruffalo is coming up to induct Virgil.
Why?
And did he pay him $20? What?
No, just because it was the most random person I could think of. Mark Ruffalo is inducting Virgil into the Hall of Fame.
Like Steve Gutenberg.
So Mark Ruffalo comes up and he's like, hey, Virgil debuted in 1985 and has been stealing money ever since.
He wrote a fucking monologue.
Are you guys listening?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Mark Ruffalo continues by saying the best work he ever did was standing there and shutting the fuck up. He worked with amazing people but never learned anything.
Oh, God. David, we're going to have Virgil on next week, aren't we?
No.
No.
He wants to do a show with us, but...
No.
This is 3 hours of an empty stream.
Even we're not on it, Nate. We all go to me and never come back. It's just Virgil there.
With that fucking poster of DiBiase behind him.
You know what I find priceless during all this? Aaron is sitting there pissed off because we took over.
You guys are cutting off Mark Ruffalo.
We're not the first.
We won't be the last. Oh, man.
Go ahead.
You guys want me to
Go ahead, Go ahead, Loyal Order Water Ruffalo.
Okay. And at the end of the day, this stupid, milk-headed...
Milk-headed?
No, I misspoke. Mark Ruffalo misspoke. So let me start out again. He debuted in 1985. He's been stealing money
start
ever
over.
since.
Okay.
This stupid motherfucker never learned anything, even though he was standing next to great talent. He never learned anything and could never, this milk-dudded head motherfucker could never cut a promo even if he was at gunpoint. Like, if somebody pointed a 9mm at Virgil's head and said, cut a promo, put people in the building, this stupid, ignorant motherfucker could never make it
That's how
happen.
you really feel, Mark.
He's the fucking worst.
Oh, fuck.
I wish I had the kazoo right now.
Virgil's a piece of shit.
You never found it, Nate?
No, I never found it. And I actually went to Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and Walmart, and nobody carries them. So
You put that much effort into finding a kazoo?
I did. I thought it was I thought it was a really funny idea, and they're all on the way home from work anyway.
You know what's messed up is the fact that Virgil has an action figure where he comes with a table and a sign.
Well, I have this set up, and he's sitting by himself. He's got a little stuffed Ted DiBiase on the table on a contract.
Please recognize me. All right, Nate. You have the honors of the last member.
My final inductee will not live up to Virgil.
I don't think any of our inductees lived up to any of Aaron's inductees, but
No, he won tonight.
he won tonight again.
But my final inductee into the 2020 Hall of Shame is Max Payne / Man Mountain Rock.
Oh,
Why?
Because he was garbage. He was terrible. Absolutely terrible. The only thing that guy ever did was showing up and accidentally having a good match with the Nasty Boys and Cactus Jack as his tag team partner. He was a terrible promo. He looked like he was homeless. In the WWF, he was just a big fat guy in tie-dye pajamas. In WCW, when he had that disheveled, they were trying to do a hair rock thing with him, but he looked like, Meatloaf needs to go to rehab kind of thing. It was terrible. And his promos were terrible. And so I know there's not a lot of discussion unless somebody has something to add, because we can't top that Virgil thing. But I am inducting Max Payne into the We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame.
I didn't mind him as Max Payne so much because I think Cactus Jack carried them as a tag team.
Oh, you think?
But
how fucking generic is the name Max Payne? Like, that is...
Well, it wasn't enough for them to make a video game of that name, and he sued them and got money from it.
And he did.
And he did.
But
that
I just
makes me sad for the fucking justice system in our country.
Well, it makes it the same thing as Diamond Dallas Page suing Jay-Z for the diamond symbol.
I'm surprised he never got sued by Nirvana for fucking
that entrance music. Yeah.
God,
If y'all want to see something funny, I just sent y'all the Virgil photo.
That's the thing about WCW. Like, they fucking... What was it? Chris Jericho had Even Flow, but it wasn't really.
Mm-hmm. Raven had Keep Them Separated by Offspring.
Yep.
Right. But with no words. It was instrumental, bad generic version.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Steiner had fucking Welcome to the Jungle.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should have inducted the generic WCW music.
Yeah.
Hogan was the only one paying for the rights of any music. He used Voodoo Child.
Do I get to give my honorable mention?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Honorable mention is Katie Vick.
Oh.
Wow.
The worst thing ever to be done. And not only that, when it took place, it was next door to a funeral.
That is the funniest picture ever.
Yeah, you see he's got his little stuffed MDM in his contract.
Yep. Austin chugging a beer behind him.
Yep. And the Rock's on the mic.
Ron Simmons is behind him in the corner going, damn.
Damn.
Pauses, looks around. Damn. But the Katie and the fact that it took place while a funeral was next door.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a funeral going on in the next
If you listen to the Big Show version or the something to wrestle with about Big Show, they're talking about that there's actual fucking burials going on while they shot that thing with the Boss Man.
Mm-hmm. They didn't care back then, man. It was everything was open game, but the Katie Vick is in the Hall of Shame, and it should forever stay locked in there.
I have the Hall of Fame theme.
Katie Vick is one of those things where, like, it wasn't even needed.
Katie Vick was the symptom of, all right, from late 97 until 2001, like we were talking about earlier with the Austin turn, you had the Attitude Era. And then there was that couple of years after that where they tried to continue the Attitude Era. Right. But it was like TV. And it was essentially like the leftovers of the Attitude Era. Right. Like, this is all still us trying to shock people, but at this point it's fucking stupid. Because I would rank the HLA thing up there with Katie Vick, in that it was a complete waste of TV time.
It was Bischoff.
You know? Yeah.
Bischoff.
But on the other side of that, like, the whole Billy and Chuck wedding was fucking brilliant.
Well, yeah, up until Billy and Chuck looked into the camera and went, but we're not really gay. And then everybody went, oh, fuck you. Because the gay and lesbian. The lead up to it was great. You know,
I'm not at all defending it, Archie, but what I will say is they were planning on going farther with that.
Right.
But the LGBT groups got involved.
Well, they asked, "Are they really gay? Are they real?"
They got involved, and I think at that point WWE was like, "All right, okay, we're just gonna."
That fact seems to be in the Hall of Shame as well.
Let's
see if this works. Hold on, guys. Let's see if this works. Hold on.
What is he playing?
I don't know, but if it's copyrighted, I can't use it anyway. I have to take it off of YouTube.
But the worst part about the whole Katie Vick thing, on top of everything else, is that when did this supposedly happen?
Right.
Because Kane was fucking burned and was held in seclusion by Paul Bearer.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, nah, he had a girlfriend that he fucking killed.
Right.
Like, when?
What time did he have to do this?
But apparently Vince thought that was funny as shit.
They changed that storyline. That was the whole thing with it. It's almost like they tried to ruin Kane multiple times because the whole Katie Vick thing. Then when they finally unmasked him, they're like, he was never burned. He just thought he was burned.
Yeah, it was all in his mind.
And then the horrible fucking May. What was the release of See No Evil? The May 15th,
May 19th.
Yeah.
And then they had fucking Luke Gallows come out dressed as Kane with a horrible fucking wig on. Like, you couldn't have done that better.
All right. Luke Gallows went on record when he got hired back recently with the WWE, when him and Carl Anderson went back. Vince McMahon walked up to him and went, "Hi, Luke. Nice to meet you." Luke Gallows like, "Vince, we've met each other before multiple times." He's like, "When?" "Well, I was Festus. I worked for you before."
Festus was terrible.
He's like, "No, you weren't." He's like, "Vince, look at them." He shows him a picture. He's like, "Oh, God." "By the way, Vince, I was also here as the fake Kane." Like, what are you talking about? "Remember when you did May 19th? Vince is like, "Yeah, that was me as fake Kane." He's like, Vince looked at him and went, "Wow, we really went to shit on you. We went to town on you with those shit things. And then look what they did to the Good Brothers. After all that, you still shit on them again."
Still fucked them over royal.
I'll defend Vince on this. I'll defend Vince on this. There's been people that have been hired multiple times at my job. I'm just like, "Hey, man, welcome to the show." Like, welcome. We worked here before. I don't know you.
Well, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. The 2020 We Can't Wrestle Hall of Shame. And Kyle, any parting words for our guests, our listeners?
Real quick, we had a friend of one of the people in one of the groups. I can't remember which one it was involved in a horrible motorcycle accident.
Yes.
So again, being myself as a biker and stuff, please look twice for people who are on motorcycles. It is that time of the season. Like I said, don't be a prick and blow your grass out onto the fucking road. Like I said, just take a second look. You could save somebody's life.
Yes. And our family of groups and podcasts and etc. here at the We Can't Wrestle family, I want to let everybody know that's listening, if you are not a member of the We Can't Wrestle podcast group, like Aaron always says, what the fuck are you waiting for? And
Definitely.
also,
Like,
the
I'm
Asylum,
not allowed
and also the Asylum and World Championship Customs. If you are a wrestling fan, if you are a collector, I say it all the time on the show. These groups are not just groups; they are communities. Quite frankly, Archie and David are members of this family because of those families.
Yes, sir.
We became friends. We've never met each other in person in the flesh, but we are friends, very good friends, because of these groups on Facebook. It's not just about events. It's not just about,
Sometimes it's not even about toys.
Exactly.
It's just being friends and talking to each other.
We all, and Archie, all of our sympathies go out with you losing your uncle this week.
Yeah.
And,
I have to, Nate, I have to say something. Yesterday was a tough day finding out that I lost my uncle, but the support from every member of either the We Can't Wrestle podcast, WCC, Nerd Closet, or Asylum, messaging me or leaving a comment on my post or whatever, it shows that there are good people still in this world that have a heart, and it's not just about F you, I don't care, I don't know you. No. There are still good, normal people in this world who are willing to take the time out just to give a lending ear, a prayer, or even just say, hey, I'm here if you need anything.
Right.
And, Kyle messaged me, you messaged me, David messaged me, Aaron messaged me. It goes to show that whether you know somebody your whole life and you've met them, or you just met them in a community, or whatever the case may be, we all stick together.
Absolutely.
And I bitch about social media a lot on both of my podcasts and both of my groups. But I bitch about it a lot because of the trolls and the people that want to argue all the time and stuff. But that is the positive of social media, that we do meet people, and we do become a part of these communities that are much bigger than what we initially become the part of that community to be a part of.
And I know that Nate's not a big guy on self-promotion or anything else, but
I'm not a self-promoter at all.
No, but check out the Motley Soup podcast, because they do a freaking hilarious review of a horrible fucking movie called The Killer Sofa.
Where the sofa is actually a recliner.
That is one of my favorite episodes I've listened to, Nate. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
The real star of that show is my wife, but that's beside the point.
The Motley Soup is a great podcast that I've never listened to.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
The reason I'll never listen to it is because
I haven't been on it.
Because guess what? I'm a guest on it. For some reason, Nate will never allow me to be on the Motley fucking Soup. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Jen said it's probably Kendall. It's not Kendall. It's Nate. For some reason, Nate will not allow me to be on the Motley Soup.
So, Nate, am I still on for next week to be on the Motley Soup?
Yeah, sure. Archie, right. David, come on in. David, you're invited too. Hey, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
You want to be on the Motley Soup next week?
Oh, God, yeah. I'd love it.
All right. Before we sign off, I'd like to say something, though. I did message Nate one night at like 2 a.m. because I was a little out of my mind, and I just got done watching the movie Dirty Dancing with my wife.
I love that movie.
And I messaged Nate.
Dirty Dancing? You love Dirty Dancing?
The reason
it's a great fucking
terrible movie. That's a fucking terrible movie.
The reason I messaged Nate, though, is because I gave him an idea for an episode of The Motley Soup. And I'm like, Nate, I don't think anybody looks at this movie the proper way. He's like, what do you mean? Baby, Jennifer Garner, was 15
put her in the
that
corner.
movie. She was 15.
Jennifer Garner's been...
Yeah, she's the... No, not Jennifer Garner. Jennifer Grey.
Yeah.
Is 15. At the beginning of the
saying,
movie,
Jennifer
she says,
Garner's
I was
a good
15
woman. She was
when
in
we
that
went
movie. I'd
to
watch
the Hamptons or whatever. Patrick Swayze in that movie is 22
Yep.
and sleeps with her.
Please
Her
stop
father
ruining
knows
the
about-
movie for me. I don't want to discuss this anymore.
Hold on.
No!
Yeah. Archie is totally giving this thing the Epstein treatment.
I'm pissed.
It's like a
Because
Jerry Lawler film.
The end of the damn movie. You look beautiful up there. Okay, great. Nobody puts baby in the corner. Motherfucker, I'm putting you in jail.
The Family Guy spoof for that?
Yes, I
man.
have. Yes, I have.
But they're like, that might be true. Peter's like,
Archie ruined it.
being
He
meddled
made
by him.
Oh, yeah, he just completely ruined the whole fucking movie for me, but
Come on.
it's all right.
I understand that it was supposed to be 19.
Nobody thinks of it that way, but really.
Why? Why?
Now,
Because,
Archie,
Like,
because.
like Matthew McConaughey when he's like,
I
Was
realize
he
they
really
love about high
22 in the
school
movie,
girls.
though? I need to do some
Right.
research. So you're telling me
1950.
their ages were verified in that movie?
Well, let's see. In the beginning
Let's
of the
not
movie,
look at how they
Jennifer-
looked or what their real ages were in real
Hold on.
life.
No. I'm not. No, in the real life, she was 22 and he was like 25. I'm
Okay.
not talking about the real life.
So then I'm just going to go off of that. We're done.
The beginning of the movie, Jennifer Grey's voiceover comes on and she says, I was 15 the last time we went away to the Hamptons or wherever they were supposed to be.
And wasn't he
Johnny-
supposed to be near her age?
No, because here's why. All the people who worked in that cottage were college students who were working off their tuition. Therefore, that made them between the ages of 21 and 22.
Why couldn't he be 18 if he was in college?
Well, that would still be against the law, David.
I mean, 18 and 22 are two different things, though.
18 is legal, 15 is not.
My point is to stop ruining the movie for me. I understand what you're talking about, but I don't
got a
think...
bunch of
I
underage
guess-
rape going on.
I get it, there was.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. That's now they're going to stop playing that movie now. Now we're never going to see Dirty
But
Dancing again.
my question is, though, that movie took place in like 1950. Did people turn a blind eye to age in 1950?
They turned a blind eye to a lot of fucking shit.
Right.
I think in 1950, the age of being a minor and adult was different than it is now. But I can't say, I'm not saying it's okay by any stretch of the imagination, but
Now,
I am saying that it's the thought process was
Here's-
different in 1950.
Here's the odd part, though. You guys ready? I actually like the movie Dirty Dancing,
now,
It's a
but
good
that
movie.
part bothers me.
Here's the big thing about this, okay? Like,
Mhm.
at least with that, like, they're in love and everything else.
Right.
Not like Matthew McConaughey, where he's like, thing I love about high school girls is
They stay the
I get
same
older, the
age.
same age. Like, you
Right.
are a fucking creep.
But they look, when he says that, if you pay attention, all the guys around him go, ew. Like, they don't want to look at him for a split second.
Well, fuck yeah.
You know? It's bad.
But way to ruin a classic for me, Archie. Thank you, sir.
Sorry. Hey,
Well,
you
it's not
busted
the
my balls. You busted my balls all day today, so you know what? That was
rape
my
is
payback.
better dancing. It's
But-
That is your payback.
Yes.
But Archie, you want to say your goodbyes?
Keep supporting wrestling. Keep supporting the pages. Doesn't matter who you're a member of, as long as you support that group and you make sure that you are a good member, we welcome you. And keep supporting wrestling no matter what company it is.
Absolutely.
David Gold, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on. Do you have any final words?
I want to thank the CEO of Big Lots, Nate Maxon, for the credit card ads I've been getting all week.
Thank you, Nate.
I can't wait to go to Big Lots and buy some furniture.
Serve big, save lots, my friend.
They have elites at $10 and basics at $13. I just want to know what the fuck they were thinking.
I don't know, but I wish I could get some of the. I have not had $10 elites in my store for 2 months.
I'm just wondering why basics are $3 or the same price.
Yes.
Archie.
Yes.
All Nate has is blue glove AJ Styles and red glove AJ Styles. That's all he has.
I need both.
Oh, we got some stupid WWE monster truck Matchbox looking things.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the rub. Here's the rub. Everyone I got was an AJ Styles. It's like, God damn it!
We got those monster truck things like 6 months ago.
I want to point this out.
Well, we probably got them from you on closeout.
Yeah, you probably did. But I want to point this out. I sent a video many moons ago of me in a Target flipping through AJ Styles going, look, AJ Styles, AJ Styles, AJ Styles, AJ Styles. And now Archie is the AJ Style man. I just want to point out that the Golden Boy started the AJ Styles
Wait a
movement.
minute, though. I put you in an episode of Toy Hunting doing that.
That's right. But no one remembers. Everyone thinks it's Archie's thing.
I can't take credit for that. Well, I didn't do it.
But nonetheless, he took the ball and ran with it. But I just want to point out, tomorrow we have Fred and Luke, Bushwhacker Luke. So we have a great meet and greet tomorrow.
Okay, David.
Hey, David. Being honest, this show will probably get edited on Sunday. So that being said, yes, and I'm saying it retroactively as far as the show goes, but the Virtual Asylum, just so you know, the day before you probably hear this show, Tugboat, Fred Ottman, and Bushwhacker Luke are going to be in the Virtual Asylum. But before we sign off, and I was going to get to the Virtual Asylum, actually, the last thing to talk about, there is a hell of a lineup coming up in the Virtual Asylum. For those of you that are not familiar with it on Facebook, essentially in the age of COVID, and even probably after that, just making it easier on you and the wrestlers to access each other. You know, how many times have you, even when this tragedy has ended, when this pandemic's over, how many times have you said, damn, example, let's just say a couple of weeks ago, Vicky Guerrero is going to be at a wrestling show, but it's 300 miles away from me. I can't make that trip. I don't have that time. With these Virtual Asylum shows, you can meet that person, that wrestler, your icon, your hero, get an autograph, get to talk to them for. I mean, how long did Animal spend with some of the listeners?
Hours.
You
know, yeah. I mean,
we went 4.5.
And you can meet that person, that wrestler, in person, literally in person, virtually online, and get an 8x10 or get some memorabilia or what have you. And you don't have to leave the comfort of your own home, and neither do they. And it's just
here's the cool part: your admission fee that buys you your signed 8x10 plus the shipping. These guys take care of it for you.
Yes.
Yep. So
that's what I wanted to mention. Okay. Was if David wants to give just a few of the upcoming stars that are coming to the Virtual Asylum.
Well, since we are now a day after,
yes,
Fred and Luke, I can kind of divulge into some of the details of who we have coming up. On the 1st of August, we have Rikishi. On the 8th, we have Ricky Morton from the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah,
that is right. That is very cool.
Ricky wants to be a part of that one.
8.
The 15th, we have
Ricky Morton.
Yeah, the 15th, we have Victoria. The 22nd, we have Diamond Dallas Page.
That is really cool.
Bang.
The 29th, we have Mick Foley.
Yeah.
We're taking a week off for Labor Day. That's our first week off in many months. The 12th, we have the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. The 19th, we have Sid Vicious.
My birthday. Cool.
The 26th, we have Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming back in again.
This time with merchandise.
with merch. October 2nd, on Friday night, we'll have Animal and Sergeant Slaughter.
That's cool.
October the 3rd, we'll have them live at a mall in West Virginia. And then October 10th, we'll have Aiden English.
That's cool.
And then after that, who knows?
Yeah, whatever the future may bring. But yes, definitely the Virtual Asylum, you got to check it out. And you can become a part of that by, like we said, World Championship Customs, Nerd Closet, the Asylum, the We Can't Wrestle podcast Facebook page. Join any of these communities, and you will have access to this. Go ahead, Kyle.
The cool thing about it too is even if you don't want to buy into the meet and greets,
you can
still watch them.
Yep,
absolutely.
Page. You don't have to. It doesn't cost a thing, guys, to join this. Like you can literally watch. I mean, Vicky Guerrero shared a lot of cool stories.
And I know earlier we joked about me being a shameless promoter, and I am. But not to mention every single one of these meet and greets within a week becomes audio you can listen to as a podcast on the Asylum Wrestling podcast.
Yep.
So, I mean, it is
the producer on.
Yes. I don't have to do much work lately. I have to listen to the audio, get out the kinks, and there we go, because the wrestlers and David and Rocky are doing the work, and Nick and Archie. But that's the whole thing, guys. All these groups, all these pods, all these virtual meet and greets, it is an amazing community to be a part of. I am proud to be a part of it. And I am proud to be a part of the Asylum, WCC, Nerd Closet, and I am proud to be a part of, obviously, my own podcast with these guys. But that being said, the Hall of Shame is over. We've done our shameless plugging. We're all going to go to bed now. And we want to thank you for joining us on episode 101 of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, Kyle.
And if you guys tell us what you guys think should be in the Hall of Shame, let's hear your guys' inductees.
Definitely.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Lord have mercy. Ow!
But thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. We'll see you next week for episode 102 as we roll on. And thank you, all my co-hosts. We'll see everybody next time around.
Suck my ass.